All right. Knowledge detectives gather round for a deep dive into a period so revolutionary, its ripples are still felt today.
Oh, I like that, revolutionary ripples.
Yeah, get ready for the Hellenistic period. A cultural revolution that shaped our world. We're talking about the era after Alexander the Great, when his empire, which was honestly probably too big even for him to handle, fractured into a fascinating blend of Greek thought and Eastern influence.
I mean, talk about a legacy.
Yeah, think aha moments about philosophy, science, art, even city planning.
Wow, covering all the bases.
And hey, before we get started, make sure to check out the links in the description below for some amazing offers.
You got it.
Now let's jump in.
Right.
After Alexander's rather sudden exit stage left, what happened to this colossal empire?
Well, imagine a power vacuum so large it could swallow a continent.
Whoa!
That's what Alexander's death in 323 BCE created.
Yeah.
His generals, the Diadochi, weren't exactly known for their sharing spirit. They carved up the empire, leading to kingdoms like the Ptolemies in Egypt, the Seleucids stretching all the way to India, the Antigonids holding on to Greece, and the cultural powerhouse of Pergamon in Asia Minor.
So a bunch of mini Alexanders, each with their own kingdom.
Basically.
Sounds like a recipe for chaos,
Yeah.
honestly. How did these different cultures even function as one Hellenistic world?
That's where it gets fascinating.
Okay, tell me more.
The key was Koine Greek, a common language that spread like wildfire. It became the ancient world's version of English, breaking down barriers and allowing everyone from merchants to philosophers to chat, debate, and do business.
So a shared language supercharged their cultural exchange.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like how today you can find sushi in Kansas and country music in Japan.
I see what you're saying.
Globalization 1.0.
Absolutely. And this cross-pollination of ideas fueled incredible innovation. Speaking of which, let's talk about art. You mentioned being drawn to Hellenistic sculpture. It's definitely a departure from the classical serenity we often imagine.
Right. It's like they suddenly discovered emotion and movement.
You got it.
Give me all the dramatic details.
Take the Nike of Samothrace.
Okay.
That sense of wind whipping through her drapery, that urgency in her pose, it's breathtaking. Then you have the dying Gaul, a defeated warrior, and the emotion etched on his face is palpable. It's heartbreaking, but it also reminds us of the universality of human experience, even across millennia.
And of course, we can't forget the Venus de Milo, that perfect blend of classical beauty with, dare I say, a more realistic physique. They really upped their game.
They were pushing boundaries and exploring new ways to represent the human form and the human spirit. This era was all about pushing boundaries.
Which brings us to, drumroll please, Alexandria, the ancient world's intellectual hub. I always picture it like a giant university campus buzzing with ideas and discoveries. Paint me a picture of the Library of Alexandria.
Imagine a building so packed with scrolls, 500,000 by some estimates, that you could practically smell the knowledge.
Whoa.
Scholars from all over the known world flocked there, drawn by the promise of unprecedented access to information.
It's mind-boggling. It's like the internet before the internet.
Exactly.
What kind of research was going on in this ancient think tank?
They were tackling everything from astronomy to medicine, laying the foundation for fields we still study today.
Really?
Euclid's Elements set the stage for geometry and Archimedes, while he was practically tinkering with calculus centuries before Newton.
Wait, calculus before Newton?
Yeah.
That's like inventing the smartphone before electricity?
Uh-huh. That's a good one.
These Hellenistic folks were seriously ahead of the curve. What else were they up to?
Ever heard of the Antithera mechanism?
Can't say I have.
Picture this. An ancient shipwreck reveals a device so complex it could predict eclipses and track planetary movements. We're talking about an astronomical calculator that wouldn't be out of place in a modern observatory.
Okay, that officially blows my mind. It makes you wonder what other treasures are still out there, buried beneath the sands of time.
It really does, but let's shift gears from stargazing to something a little more down to earth. Philosophy in the Hellenistic world, two schools of thought, Stoicism and Epicureanism, really resonated with people.
Ah, yes, Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that's having a major comeback today. What was at the heart of this school of thought?
Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium, was all about mastering your emotions, accepting what you can't control, and finding peace amidst chaos. It's about resilience ethics and living in accordance with nature. Sound familiar?
Definitely resonates with our modern day anxieties. And Epicureanism, wasn't that all about indulging in the good life?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
Epicurus, the founder, did believe in pursuing pleasure and avoiding pain, but it was more nuanced than just hedonism. He emphasized moderation moderation, friendship, and living a virtuous life, finding happiness in simple pleasures, intellectual pursuits, and meaningful relationships. It's not a bad philosophy even today.
So both philosophies were focused on living well, but with different approaches. Stoicism about conquering adversity, Epicureanism about seeking tranquility. Interesting how those ideas still resonate thousands of years later.
It speaks to the enduring human search for meaning and happiness, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And the search played out in the very design of their cities. Hellenistic urban planning was revolutionary.
Right. It wasn't all togas and temples. Tell me what made cities like Alexandria so special.
Imagine walking down a grid-planned street.
Okay.
Lined with multi-story buildings bustling with people from all walks of life. They had public spaces designed for everyone, from marketplaces to theaters.
That's pretty modern.
And then there's the Pharos of Alexandria, the world's first lighthouse. A marvel of engineering that towered over the harbor, guiding ships safely to shore.
Grid-planned streets, that sounds almost modern.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had traffic jams back then, too.
Perhaps chariot jams.
I could see it.
But the point is, they were thinking about city living in a completely new way. And speaking of new ways of thinking, religion in the Hellenistic world was a fascinating blend of tradition.
Right. They were mixing and matching their gods like ingredients in a cosmic smoothie. I like that analogy.
Tell me about this religious fusion.
Well, you had Serapis, a Greco-Egyptian hybrid god who became incredibly popular. He was a symbol of unity and cultural blending, a divine ambassador, if you will.
I love that, a divine ambassador of multiculturalism. Were there other examples of this religious melting pot?
Absolutely. There were the mystery cults of Cybele and Attis from Anatolia, Isis, and Osiris from Egypt, and Mithras from Persia.
Whoa.
These offered secret rituals, promises of salvation, and a sense of community appealing in a world that was constantly changing.
So a bit like joining a secret society, but with spiritual benefits. I can see the appeal. It seems like the Hellenistic world was a time of intense spiritual exploration.
Definitely this open-mindedness extended to science as well.
Yeah.
This era saw the emergence of the scientific method as we know it.
Really? That's huge. Break it down for me. How did they lay the groundwork for modern science?
They embraced systematic observation, meticulously documenting their findings.
They developed experimental methods to test theories and even pioneered the concept of peer review, having fellow scholars scrutinize each other's work for accuracy.
So they were like the quality control department of ancient knowledge. That's impressive.
It was, and this rigor led to remarkable discoveries, particularly in medicine.
All right, medical breakthroughs, give me the highlights.
We have Herophilus, who bravely delved into human anatomy, dissecting bodies to understand how they worked.
Oh, wow.
And Aristides, who was fascinated by the circulatory system and made crucial observations about the heart and lungs.
Talk about pushing boundaries. These early anatomists were the pioneers of their time, paving the way for medical advancements we benefit from today. This thirst for knowledge wasn't just limited to science and medicine, was it? What about the arts and literature?
Of course, in literature, we see the rise of Alexandrian poetry, a more personal, experimental style compared to the epic poems of the past. It reflects the shifting tastes of the Hellenistic world, focusing on individual experiences and scientific precision in language.
A bit more introspective and edgy. I can dig it. And what about theater? Any new genres taking center stage?
Yes, new comedy became all the rage. Think of it as the sitcom of the ancient world, full of relatable characters, everyday situations, and social commentary.
I love that the ancient Greek sitcom said they were poking fun at social norms and exploring the human condition just like we do today.
Precisely, new comedy was a reflection of their fascination with human behavior and the complexities of life in a diverse, ever-changing society.
And let's not forget about their impressive feats of engineering and technology. I mean, the pharaohs alone is a testament to their ingenuity.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? That thing was colossal.
Yeah.
What other technological wonders did they come up with?
Well, they revolutionized warfare, developing sophisticated siege weapons, advanced ship designs, and innovative defensive architecture.
How about that?
Their military tactics became more adaptable, incorporating cavalry archers and light infantry for greater flexibility.
So they were basically the ancient world's military strategists, constantly innovating and adapting to stay ahead of the game. What about civilian technology? Any cool inventions for everyday life?
Their water management systems were incredibly sophisticated.
Okay.
Using aqueducts and cisterns to provide clean water to their cities. They also improved road networks for more efficient travel and trade. And let's not forget their harbor constructions featuring breakwaters, docks, and warehouses that facilitated maritime commerce on a grand scale.
Wow, they were really masters of infrastructure. It's clear that the Hellenistic period was a time of incredible innovation across all aspects of life, from art and science to technology and urban planning.
It was a period that laid the groundwork for so much of what we take for granted today.
Absolutely. It's remarkable how this era continues to resonate with us thousands of years later.
It really is a testament to the enduring power of human ingenuity and the interconnectedness of history. It's fascinating to think about how the Hellenistic world changed our understanding of the cosmos. We're talking about the Antikythera mechanism, but their astronomical advancements go even further.
Right, that astronomical calculator was like something out of a science fiction movie.
It really was.
It makes you wonder, what other celestial secrets did they uncover?
Well, they built upon the work of earlier Greek astronomers, but they also made some groundbreaking discoveries of their own. For example, Aristarchus of Samos proposed a heliocentric model of the solar system, suggesting that the Earth revolves around the sun centuries before Copernicus.
Wait a minute, a heliocentric model back then, that's a radical idea for the time.
It was.
Did his contemporaries embrace this revolutionary concept?
Unfortunately, no, people still clung to the geocentric view with Earth at the center of everything, but Aristarchus's insights were remarkably prescient, and his work would eventually influence later astronomers who helped to reshape our understanding of the universe.
It's incredible how these ancient thinkers were grappling with such profound questions about the universe. It shows that the human desire to understand our place in the cosmos is a timeless pursuit.
Absolutely, and this thirst for knowledge wasn't limited to astronomy. The Hellenistic world saw advancements in a wide range of scientific disciplines, including mathematics, physics, and engineering. We've already touched on Euclid's geometry and Archimedes' early exploration of calculus, but there's so much more to discover.
All right, I'm ready for more mind-blowing scientific discoveries from the Hellenistic period. Hit me with your best shot.
Well, how about this? Hellenistic engineers developed incredibly sophisticated water lifting devices like the Archimedes screw, which is still used today.
Interesting.
Imagine a giant corkscrew inside a tube, rotating to lift water from a lower level to a higher one. It was revolutionary for its time, and a testament to their practical ingenuity. They used it to irrigate fields and transport grain. Talk about innovation meeting everyday needs.
The Archimedes screw, that's such a simple yet brilliant invention. It's amazing how they were able to apply scientific principles to solve practical problems. Speaking of practical problems, what about warfare? We talked about their military innovations earlier, but I'd love to delve deeper into their tactics and strategies.
Well, they moved away from the traditional Greek phalanx formation, which relied on heavily armored infantry fighting in close ranks. Instead, they adopted more flexible and adaptable tactics. Imagine a battlefield where they seamlessly integrated cavalry archers and light infantry into their armies. This allowed them to fight effectively on diverse terrains and against various enemy types.
So they were embracing a more dynamic and versatile approach to warfare that makes sense, especially given the vast and varied landscapes they were operating in.
Exactly. They understood that adaptability was key to success on the battlefield, and they were also masters of siege warfare, developing powerful catapults and battering rams that could break down enemy fortifications. It was a combination of military prowess, strategic thinking, and adaptability that made them such a formidable force.
It sounds like they were constantly pushing the boundaries of military technology and strategy. No wonder they were able to carve out such a vast and influential empire. But it wasn't just about brute force, was it?
You're right. They also understood the importance of diplomacy and alliances. In fact, one of the reasons Alexander the Great was so successful was his ability to forge alliances with local rulers and incorporate their troops into his army. They knew that strength also lay in strategic partnerships and political maneuvering.
So it was a combination of military might, strategic brilliance, and diplomatic savvy that allowed them to leave their mark on the ancient world. Fascinating. But let's take a break from conquest and politics for a moment and talk about something a bit more lighthearted fashion. What were the Hellenistic folks wearing back then? Were they as stylish as their statues suggest?
Well, sadly, no actual garments from that era have survived, but we can piece together their fashion sense from sculptures, paintings, and written descriptions. Imagine loose-fitting draped garments, often made from linen or wool, perfect for the Mediterranean climate, and they loved to accessorize.
Ooh, accessories. Tell me more. What kind of bling were they sporting? Were they dripping in gold and jewels?
Jewelry was definitely a part of their style, along with belts, headbands, and even elaborate hairstyles, and color was important too. They used natural dyes to create vibrant hues and often incorporated intricate patterns and embroidery into their clothing. Think rich purples, deep blues, and earthy reds adorning their flowing garments.
So they weren't just strutting around in plain white togas. They were expressing themselves through fashion, just like we do today. It sounds like they had a keen eye for aesthetics and a love for vibrant self-expression.
Absolutely. Fashion was a way to signal status, wealth, and cultural identity. And just like today, I'm sure there were fashion trends that came and went with people eager to emulate the latest styles.
I bet Cleopatra was a trendsetter. I can totally picture her rocking some dazzling outfits, setting the fashion standard for the entire Hellenistic world.
I'm sure she had impeccable taste. She was renowned for her beauty, intelligence, and political acumen. I bet she used fashion strategically to enhance her image and project an aura of power and sophistication.
Speaking of powerful women, let's talk about the role of women in the Hellenistic world. Were they confined to the domestic sphere, or did they have opportunities to wield influence and power?
That's a great question. While it's true that patriarchal structures still dominated women in the Hellenistic world, had more opportunities than their counterparts in earlier Greek society.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that. What kind of opportunities were available to them?
Well, for one thing, they had more control over their own property and finances. They could inherit land-run businesses and even engage in legal transactions. It wasn't complete equality, but it was a step towards greater autonomy.
So they weren't entirely dependent on men for their economic well-being. That's a significant shift from earlier Greek society.
Yeah.
Were there any examples of women who rose to positions of power and influence?
Absolutely. Cleopatra is the most famous example, but there were others. Arsinoe II, the sister and co-ruler of Ptolemy II, was a formidable leader who wielded considerable political and economic power. Imagine a woman sharing the throne and shaping the destiny of a kingdom in that era. It's quite remarkable.
A female co-ruler. That's pretty impressive for that time period. Were there any other notable women who defied societal expectations and made their mark on history?
Definitely. Berenice II, the wife of Ptolemy III, was known for her intelligence and diplomatic skills. And many women excelled in the arts and sciences, such as the poet Ennead of Tegea and the philosopher Hipparchia of Maronia. They challenged gender norms and left their intellectual and creative legacies for future generations.
It's inspiring to hear about these women who defied societal expectations and made their mark on history. It seems like the Hellenistic world, despite its patriarchal structures, offered more opportunities for women to exert their agency than we might have imagined.
That's a great observation. It's a reminder that history is full of nuances and complexities, and that even in societies with deeply entrenched patriarchal systems, there were always individuals who challenged the status quo and paved the way for greater equality.
Well said. And speaking of changing tides, let's talk about the decline of the Hellenistic world. What led to the downfall of this once mighty empire? What forces conspired to bring about its end?
That's a complex question. But in a nutshell, the Hellenistic world eventually succumbed to the rising power of Rome. The Roman Republic, with its well-trained legions, ambitious generals, and ruthless political maneuvering, gradually expanded its influence throughout the Mediterranean, inevitably clashing with the Hellenistic kingdoms.
Ah, yes, the rise of Rome. It seems like every great empire eventually meets its match. What were some of the key events that marked the decline of the Hellenistic world? Were there any pivotal battles or turning points that sealed their fate?
The Battle of Cynocephalae in 197 BCE was a decisive moment.
Okay.
The Roman legions clashed with the Macedonian army, and the Romans emerged victorious.
Wow.
This marked the beginning of the end for the Antigonid dynasty, one of the major Hellenistic powers. Then there was the Battle of Pydna in 168 BCE, another crushing Roman victory over the Macedonians, leading to the annexation of Macedonia as a Roman province.
So the Romans were steadily chipping away at the Hellenistic kingdoms, one victory at a time. It was a gradual erosion of their power and influence. What about the Ptolemies in Egypt? Weren't they the last major Hellenistic power standing?
You're right. The Ptolemaic kingdom, with its strategic location and vast wealth, managed to hold on for a while longer, but eventually even Egypt fell under Roman sway. It was a dramatic showdown culminating in the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE.
I bet that was a dramatic showdown, Cleopatra and Mark Antony versus Octavian and the Roman legions. It's the stuff of legends. I can almost hear the clash of swords and the roar of the crowd.
It certainly was a clash of titans. Cleopatra and Mark Antony, allied in their fight to preserve their independence, faced off against Octavian, the future Roman Emperor Augustus. The battle ended in a decisive Roman victory, sealing the fate of the Ptolemaic kingdom and marking the end of an era.
Wow, what a dramatic end to an era. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, choosing to end her own life rather than surrendering to Rome. It's a story that has captivated imaginations for centuries.
It's a poignant reminder that even the most powerful empires eventually crumble, and that history is often shaped by the clash of ambitious individuals and powerful forces. But even though the Hellenistic world ultimately fell to Rome, its legacy lived on.
Right. Their cultural, intellectual, and scientific achievements continue to influence Western civilization for centuries to come, shaping the course of history in profound ways. They may have been conquered, but their ideas continue to conquer new frontiers.
Absolutely. The Hellenistic period was a time of extraordinary creativity, innovation, and cultural exchange. It was a melting pot of ideas where Greek philosophy mingled with Eastern mysticism, scientific breakthroughs occurred alongside artistic revolutions, and new ways of thinking about the world emerged. They left an indelible mark on the tapestry of human civilization.
It's a period that deserves to be celebrated for its dynamism, its diversity, and its enduring impact on our world today. So the next time you pick up a geometry textbook, marvel at a statue's fluidity of motion, or ponder the mysteries of the cosmos. Remember the Hellenistic world, a civilization that dared to push the boundaries of knowledge, art, and human potential. Their legacy lives on inspiring us to reach for new heights of understanding and achievement.
Beautifully said. The Hellenistic world reminds us that even in times of great upheaval and change, the human spirit can flourish. They demonstrated that innovation and creativity can thrive amidst adversity, leaving a legacy that continues to illuminate our world.
Well, folks, I think we've officially journeyed through the triumphs and tragedies of the Hellenistic world. We've covered everything from their groundbreaking scientific discoveries and artistic innovations to their political intrigues and epic battles.
We've explored their bustling cities, their philosophical debates, their religious practices, and even their fashion choices. It's been a truly exhilarating exploration of a pivotal period in human history.
It's been an incredible deep dive into a civilization that continues to fascinate and inspire us today. But before we wrap up, remember to check out those amazing offers in the description below. We've got some fantastic deals on books, documentaries, and online courses that will let you explore this fascinating era even further. Don't miss out on the chance to delve deeper into the Hellenistic world.
And as you delve deeper into the Hellenistic world, ask yourself this: what lessons can we learn from this era of globalization, cultural fusion, and rapid technological advancement? How can we apply those lessons to our own lives? And the challenges we face today, the echoes of the past, can often illuminate the path forward.
Those are some thought-provoking questions. And speaking of thought-provoking, something's been on my mind. We've talked about the Hellenistic world's triumphs, their advancements, their innovations, but what about their shortcomings? Did they stumble in ways we can learn from?
That's an excellent point. No civilization is without its flaws, and the Hellenistic world was no exception. One of the biggest challenges was maintaining stability and unity across such a vast and diverse empire.
All right, it's like herding cats.
It's like trying to keep a giant, multi-flavored souffle from collapsing.
Okay, I get it.
They faced internal conflicts, power struggles, and economic disparities that often led to instability and weakened the kingdoms.
So even with all their advancements, they still grappled with those age-old issues of power unity, and keeping everyone content in a sprawling empire makes you realize some challenges are just timeless. Any other missteps we can learn from?
Their intensive agricultural practices and rapid urbanization, while signs of progress sometimes led to environmental issues. Deforestation, soil erosion, and water scarcity became concerns. It's a reminder that even with the best intentions, growth needs to be balanced with a respect for nature.
The classic struggle between progress and sustainability. It's like they were paving the way for future civilizations, both in their successes and their challenges. Anything else we should be mindful of?
Social inequality was another challenge. While opportunities for advancement existed, the gap between the wealthy elite and the poor often widened. This kind of disparity, as we often see throughout history, can breed resentment and unrest.
Right.
It highlights the importance of social justice and economic equity for a truly thriving and harmonious society.
It's a reminder that even in a period of flourishing innovation, it's vital to ensure everyone benefits, not just a select few at the top. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Hellenistic world, what key takeaways should we leave with?
We've seen how a shared language can fuel a cultural revolution, how open-mindedness leads to groundbreaking scientific discoveries, and how even in antiquity humans grappled with issues like sustainability and social justice. The Hellenistic world, for all its brilliance, also teaches us the importance of balancing progress with environmental responsibility, individual ambition with collective well-being.
It's a potent reminder that history isn't just about memorizing dates and names. It's about drawing wisdom from the past to navigate the present future.
And hopefully it inspires us to approach our own era of globalization and technological advancement with a similar spirit of innovation, but perhaps with a touch more awareness of the lessons learned along the way.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing journey exploring this pivotal period in history, uncovering its brilliance and its lessons.
I couldn't agree more, and I hope our listeners feel empowered to continue their own explorations.
And remember, everyone, if you want to keep the learning adventure going, be sure to check out those awesome offers in the description below. We've got fantastic deals on books, documentaries, and online courses that will take your Hellenistic knowledge to the next level.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering the fascinating connections between the past and the present.
Until next time, folks, keep those brains buzzing.